$40. That's a normal shelf price for a bottle of mushroom capsules right now. And when labs started testing bottles like that one, some came back with almost none of the compound the entire product was sold on. Not a little less than advertised. Almost none. In some products, more than half the weight was plain grain starch. The way that happens is completely legal, which is the part that bothers me. Those companies grow mushroom mycelium on a bed of sterilized rice or oats. Come harvest time, nobody can separate the fungus from the grain it's tangled into, so the whole bed gets dried and ground into the capsule together. A validated lab method published in the Journal of AOAC International in 2016 finally made it simple to tell real fungal beta-glucan apart from ordinary starch. Once that method existed, people started testing what they'd been buying. The numbers got embarrassing fast. Now, hold that next to a tray of sliced mushrooms sitting on a porch railing in the sun. 15 minutes of ordinary afternoon light. Researchers measured roughly 704 IU of vitamin D per 100 grams of fresh mushroom. That's more than a full day's recommendation for most adults, and it cost absolutely nobody anything. So let's deal with the question you clicked on right now before I show you a single mushroom. Can cheap, homegrown mushrooms actually replace expensive supplements? Partly. And I want to be specific with which parts, because the internet is not being specific with you. For vitamin D, you can replace a bottle outright with a baking sheet and a sunny afternoon. For immune compounds and B vitamins, homegrown mushrooms compete very well against what most people are swallowing. For anything that depends on a measured, standardized dose, no, they don't replace it. And nobody honest will tell you otherwise. What they will do is take a wrecking ball to your monthly bill. 10 mushrooms then, almost all of them under $5 to get started, and the first one is the one that converts skeptics. Oyster mushrooms, hiratake if you shop at Japanese markets. You can grow these on used coffee grounds, chopped straw, or wet cardboard packed into a 5-gallon bucket with holes drilled down the sides. The spawn costs a few dollars. Everything else is stuff you were about to throw away. One warning that trips up almost every beginner. Coffee grounds turn moldy fast, so use them within a day or two of brewing, or pasteurize them first. Oyster fruiting bodies contain lovastatin, the same molecule sold as a prescription cholesterol drug. Before anyone gets ideas, the amount swings enormously between strains, and it sits nowhere near a pharmacy dose, so nobody should be skipping their statin over a stir-fry. Think of it as food that happens to be interesting. Oysters also carry real riboflavin, niacin, and pantothenic acid, which covers most of what a B-complex tablet is doing. Tear them into strips, dry sear them in a hot pan with no oil until they squeak, then finish with butter. Whatever you can't eat, dehydrate and grind into a jar of powder that goes into soup, gravy, and scrambled eggs without anyone noticing. Shiitake second. Shangu. Buy one sawdust block or plug a stack of oak logs with dowel spawn at about 30 cents a dowel. A single log keeps fruiting for 4 to 6 years, which is a return on investment I've never seen from a supplement bottle. And this is where that sunlight number from the intro turns practical. Shiitake grown indoors in the dark contain almost no vitamin D. Slice them, lay them gills up in direct summer sun for an hour, and the ergosterol in the tissue converts into vitamin D2 in serious quantity. In a Freiburg trial, people who were low on vitamin D ate UV-treated mushrooms for 5 weeks, and their blood levels rose the same as the group swallowing D2 capsules. Dry the mushrooms afterward, and that vitamin holds for months. Shiitake also carry aritidenin, a compound studied for its effect on blood lipids that barely shows up anywhere else on this list. Third, lion's mane, Yamabushitake. Every focus and memory blend on the market is built on this mushroom at prices that stop making sense the moment you watch one grow. It fruits from a sawdust block on a kitchen counter and forgives humidity mistakes better than almost anything else. The buyers who get burned right here. The compounds people are chasing, harrisinones, sit in the fruiting body, the shaggy white thing. Most budget capsules are that mycelium on grain product from the intro, which is exactly why their lab numbers come back so thin. Growing your own skips the entire argument. Slice it thick, pan fry in butter until it goes golden and the texture turns weirdly crab-like. Dry the leftovers and simmer them into tea. Fourth, reishi, lingzi. You will not be eating this one. It's woody, it's bitter, and your jaw loses that fight. But it grows readily on supplemented hardwood sawdust and looks like sculpture while it does it. Reishi's interesting compounds are triterpenes, the ganaderic acids, and they need actual extraction to reach. Simmer sliced dried reishi in water for an hour or two for a dark, bitter tea, or steep it in high-proof alcohol for a few weeks, then combine the two liquids. Growers call that a double extraction, and it exists for a reason. Some of reishi's compounds only come out in water, and others only come out in alcohol, so doing one and skipping the other leaves half the mushroom behind. Early research points towards sleep and stress support, though that work is nowhere near settled. Reishi may thin the blood slightly, so anyone on anticoagulants should ask a doctor before making it routine. Fifth is the one that genuinely surprised me. Turkey tail, yunzi. It's the most clinically studied mushroom on this entire list, and hardly anybody grows it at home. It'll colonize hardwood chips, old logs, even sterilized cardboard. Its extracts, PSK and PSP, have been used in Japan since 1977 alongside conventional cancer treatment as an approved adjunct. To be very clear, nothing here cures anything, and nothing here replaces oncology care, but the research base underneath it is deep, and a season's worth of dried turkey tail costs you a walk to the woodpile. It's far too tough to chew, so simmer it for an hour and drink the broth, or grind it into powder and stir it into stock. Dried properly and kept somewhere dark, it holds for a year or more. Sixth is Cordyceps militaris, the bright orange one. William Padilla Brown spent years teaching homegrowers to fruit the species in mason jars, and the method works. Brown rice, a nutrient broth, a pressure cooker, and a cheap LED light, because cordyceps needs light to fruit, while nearly everything else on this list wants darkness. You'll get 2 to 5 grams dried per jar. Cordycepin and adenosine are the compounds behind those pre-workout energy blends, and I didn't believe this part at first. The wild Himalayan species everyone romanticizes still cannot be farmed at all, which is precisely why militaris took over the market. Steep the orange clubs in hot water for a rust-colored tea, or drop a few whole into broth. Seventh, wine cap. Brown kappa in German, garden giant in most catalogs. Rake spawn through a wood chip bed in your yard, water it, walk away. One bed fruits for years, and the caps can reach dinner plate size. This is the cheapest protein on the list per pound, and it builds soil while it feeds you, because the mycelium is chewing your mulch down into compost the whole time. Wine cap isn't competing with a capsule. It competes with your grocery bill, which is the saving you actually notice at checkout. Gardeners run these beds directly under tomatoes and squash on purpose, since the mulch stays damp and breaks down faster, and you harvest twice from 1 square foot. Roast the caps whole like a steak. Blanch and freeze the rest. Eighth, maitake, the dancing mushroom. Harder than the others, so don't make it your first attempt. It wants supplemented hardwood, partly buried in soil, and it takes patience most beginners haven't built yet. Maitake carries a beta-glucan fraction studied for immune signaling, which is what those $30 immune blends are pointing at. It also happens to be one of the best-tasting mushrooms on the planet, a fact the capsule aisle never mentions. Roast the whole clump with olive oil and salt until the fronds crisp at the edges. If you want the studied compounds instead of the dinner, simmer dried maitake into broth, since beta-glucans pull out in hot water and survive the heat comfortably. Ninth, enoki take. These grow in jars and bottles, which is why they're so cheap in Asian markets, and the same setup works at home with a sawdust and bran mix. Then there's the part I didn't expect. A Thai study UV-treated 8 different mushroom varieties and measured what came out. Enoki produced the highest vitamin D2 of the entire group. The skinny white ones nobody suspects of anything. Cook them properly and skip raw enoki completely because raw product has been tied to listeria outbreaks. Drop them into soup at the last minute so they keep that springy bite. 10th, chestnut mushrooms. Pholiota adiposa.
Small, golden, crunchy stems, and they fruit fast on the same hardwood sawdust blocks as everything else here. I'll be straight about this one. There's very little research behind it, so it replaces no supplement at all. What it fixes is boredom, and boredom is the thing that ends most people's healthy habits somewhere around week 3. Chestnuts hold their texture in a stir-fry where oysters go limp, and they turn the routine into something you look forward to.
The honest limits, quickly. Potency swings between strains, substrates, and seasons, so nothing you grow is standardized the way a label claims to be. Homegrown mushrooms don't treat, cure, or prevent disease, and none of this replaces medicine a doctor prescribed. If you're pregnant, nursing, immunocompromised, on blood thinners or immune-modulating drugs, or managing anything ongoing, talk to a clinician before making medicinal mushrooms a daily habit. And learn your species properly, because every one of these has a look-alike growing somewhere nearby. What sticks with me is the reversal. That $40 bottle put 4 middlemen between you and a fungus. A bucket of oysters growing on your own coffee grounds puts you about 18 inches away from it, close enough to watch the thing double in size overnight. Start with 1 bucket, $5 of spawn, a bag of grounds, and a drill. If that works, your wood chip pile is going to look very different to you by next spring. If this video is informative, then comment yes. That motivates us to produce more videos like this.